Hey guys, Bridget here from Open Chair Counseling back with you again for another video. And today I want to talk all about what to expect the first time you go see a counselor. So like I have in the past, I have my little notes here just in case I forget something I want to talk about. So let's start at the very beginning. How do I find a counselor? I've gotten to a point in my life where I've decided I need some extra support. How do I find a counselor? One of the easiest ways is to Google it. Just go right into Google and type counselors or therapists in my area and see what it spits out. Another really great resource is Psychology Today. This is an awesome website that will let you search for counselors based on your area, your insurance, the types of issues or disorders that they specialize in. If you want a male or female counselor, even like a religious or spiritual affiliation, you can search for all of that on Psychology Today. It's an awesome resource. I definitely recommend it. Or another really great one is just like a friend or family member referral. A direct referral source is usually going to go a long way to making that first counseling experience feel a lot more safe and comfortable because you know that someone that you love and care about is already going to see this person and they already feel really safe with them. So they're going to feel a little less like a stranger. So once you've selected a counselor that you think you might want to start working with, how do you get in touch with them? The best way is going to be to call or email them. A lot of times they'll either provide a general office number or general office email on their website, or they might even give you their direct contact information. So if you call them, please make sure you leave a voicemail because a lot of times counselors get tons of calls throughout the day and we can't check our phone like in the middle of a session or in the middle of a meeting. So if we don't get a voicemail from you, we might just think that it was like a spam call or like a butt dial and it was a complete accident and it's not somebody that we need to call back. So if you leave us a voicemail just saying like, hey, here's my name, this is what I'm looking for, please give me a call back, that really helps us know, was this an accident call or was this someone who's looking for our help? Email is also a really great opportunity to start giving us some information about what you're looking for in a counselor. So, for instance, if I got an email from a mom who says, "Hey, my 3-year-old is really struggling, would you be willing to see them?" I don't particularly work with kids that young. I generally kind of stay between like kind of high school and young adult. So, kind of like 15 to 35 is kind of my particular area, but I know some really great counselors in my office who work with little kids. So if I get an email like that, I'm already starting to think, okay, maybe I won't be a good fit for them, but I already have someone in mind that I think would be a better fit for them. So those initial contact points of a voicemail or an email really go a long way to helping a counselor know, is this a good fit for me as a client? And if it's not, who can I refer them to? So there's the shortest gap in care possible. Because if you are at a point where you're saying to yourself, okay, I really need help, you probably want help as soon as possible. And we want to make sure that you can get that as early as you need it. So we want to try to minimize any sort of lapse in reaching out for care and starting to get that care. So you've found the counselor you want to work with. You've made that initial contact either through phone call or an email. Now you're going to set up an initial, what we call intake appointment. And that's like the very first session where we get all this information from you. An intake appointment is generally going to be a little bit longer than your typical session, which is usually going to be about 50 to 55 minutes. But an intake session, because there's just so much more information that we have to get through, like all of your paperwork. We have to ask you all of these questions because like we're required by the state to ask for certain information. There's so much more that we need to cover that we might not be able to get through all of it in 50 to 55 minutes. So you might want to budget for like maybe an hour and 15 minutes just in your own schedule, just in case there's stuff that you need to fill out ahead of time or a lot of questions and you kind of spill over that 50 to 55 minute. And the reason why it's 50 to 55 minutes for most follow-up appointments isn't because we're trying to cheat you out of time. It's because in between sessions, a counselor is probably going to have to like write a few notes so that they remember what happened during the session. They might have to run to the bathroom or grab a quick snack, or they might have to rearrange their office. Like if they were doing an activity where they needed to move furniture out of the way, or they had like some art supplies out that they need to clean up real quick. We want to be very respectful of the person who's coming in behind you, that the room is put back together, that we are focused and centered, so we can give our full attention to that next person. Another big thing that you're going to want to get squared away before you come in for that initial intake session is discussing payment. Now, this can be really, really awkward for both the client and the counselor. So, to try to eliminate as much of that as possible, discuss this early. So, talk with them on the phone or through email about if they partner with certain insurances, like maybe they accept your insurance company, or if there's an out of pocket amount that you've discussed. Every counselor is different. Everyone's going to charge a different amount. So try to find a counselor that you feel like is charging an amount that you're comfortable with. I understand that paying for your mental health needs can feel a little bit like a financial burden at times, but remember, you are investing in your mental health, and it's so important. It's kind of like investing in like a really great pair of jeans. You can buy a pair of jeans that fit you really well, come from a really great company, excellent quality. You can dress it up, dress it down, wear it for every occasion. It's going to last you forever, and you love that pair of jeans. Or you can choose to invest less in a lower quality pair of jeans that you maybe get like 2 or 3 wears out of before it rips. Um, so just to kind of put it in perspective, it's kind of like that. You're investing in yourself. You're investing in your future, in your relationships, in your work productivity. It is worth the investment. You are worth the investment. The next thing I want to cover is do your paperwork. So the way that I do it is as soon as I set up that initial intake session in my calendar, I immediately send the new client all of their paperwork through an email. And that way it just makes it really easy if you're on the go and you need to like do it on your phone, or you want to do it on your laptop, then you don't have to carry paper copies around. But I still have all of that information that I need, and we can reference it at any time. But for some offices that do hard copies of all of their paperwork, you might want to show up to your session a couple minutes early, like maybe, 15 to 30 minutes early, just to make sure you have enough time to fill out all of the paperwork. You have everything that you need, like insurance cards or, addresses or phone numbers of whoever they might need on that paperwork. And the next piece that kind of goes right along with that is all of the questions that we ask you in that paperwork, or that we might ask you during that initial intake session. Um, that isn't meant to be invading your privacy or asking you to relive really uncomfortable experiences or to embarrass you. It's really so that we, as the counselor or therapist, can get as much background information as possible so that we can start thinking about a treatment plan and start considering different diagnosing options, um, so that we can treat you best, so that we can serve you the best way possible. So please know that anything we ask you, you have the right to decide how much information you share, but the more information you're willing to share, the easier it is for us to figure out how we can help you best. So after that initial intake, your counselor or therapist is probably going to want to schedule a follow-up appointment with you. And we usually want to see you weekly. And that's so we can start to build that counselor-client relationship where we can start to feel like there's some trust, where you can open up more and you can start exploring things more, and doing some of the hard work. So generally, we want to see you about once a week. That's pretty typical. In the first session, that's not even really counseling. Like that's really just history taking for us to figure out, like, what is it that you're going through, how can we help you, what's some treatment plan options. We really don't get into like the real work of counseling until like a couple sessions down the road, when there's, like I said, like some trust built up in that relationship. Piggybacking off of that is the last thing I want to cover in this video, which is what we call goodness of fit. And that's this idea that the counselor should feel like a really safe, trustworthy person for you. So if you have like a gut feeling that this counselor is just not right for you, you don't feel safe, you don't feel comfortable, you are well within your right to look for somebody else. That's completely fine. As therapists and counselors, we understand that we're not going to fit everyone perfectly. Our style isn't going to blend with all of our clients, and that's totally fine. You're welcome to look for someone else. But in my opinion, it's always a good idea to first give it one or two more shots just to see if maybe it was like first time nerves, or you were just kind of anxious about going into counseling in general, to really see if it's, do I have apprehension about like the counseling experience, or am I feeling uncomfortable with the counselor themselves. And then after that, if you still just truly feel like this is not a good fit, talk to your counselor about, hey, I'm just not sure if this is a good fit for me. Is there someone else that you'd recommend? If you're not comfortable asking them for a recommendation, that's completely fine too. You don't have to. But it's always better to communicate with them about what's going on rather than to just ghost them and not respond to any of their phone calls and emails, because they're just going to keep calling and emailing you because they're going to assume that everything's fine and you just forgot to schedule another appointment. So they're probably just going to keep calling and emailing you until you tell them definitively, um, I'm not going to come in and see you anymore. So I think that's everything I wanted to cover in this video. As always, if there's anything that you think I missed or I didn't delve into enough, feel free to leave me a comment below so that I can get into those things in future videos. I'm so passionate about mental health counseling and making this really easy and approachable and accessible for people. So if there's a way that I can do that better and I can improve, I want to do that for you. I love spending time with you guys. Thank you so much for checking out this video today, and I will see you in the next one.